Hello everyone, Daniel Kerr here. Welcome to the first instructional video on my SnowMetal University channel. This is a brand new channel where I give electronic music tutorials and other multimedia tutorials with the sole interest of working worship and worshiping Jesus. So, if you are interested in that sort of a thing, subscribe, and if you're not, subscribe and you might be eventually. Okay, so what I'm going to talk to you today is about sample sets, and I'm going to show you how to use a sample set in a way that is unique and original, okay? As many of you are coming from my old channel, you'll know that I have been offering sample sets for nearly a decade, but a lot of times when people are faced with the idea of using a sample set, or people release sample sets, there's a lot of flack that's given by different users, and people saying things about originality and cheating, and I prefer to make things myself, which there's a lot of merit to that, and I understand it, but I think these people are approaching it in a completely, maybe the wrong way, okay? For one thing, sampling has always been a huge part of the electronic music industry, okay? So as soon as the sampler was invented, people were using it, and back then people were taking huge cuts of classic albums and passing them off, reworking them, and it caused a huge controversy. But right after that, artists like Prodigy and others were really taking maybe the same types of loops from classic albums, but they were reworking them and messing with the sound design. In fact, a lot of the Prodigy stuff is very unique, and the fun of listening to it was to listen to it and try to pick out the samples that were used, okay? Another thing is that these patrons back during the Renaissance, like the Medici family, they would give huge chunks of money to these painters and sculptors, and then they would commission these giant pieces, and these masters, they had been established as masters, so they had students and apprentices, and they would say, well, over here, this is what I need over here, and they would show their designs, and then these group of workers would work on that piece, and they would have all kinds of people working on their designs, and then at the end, it would all come together as their own piece. But it really represented a lot of labor and even creativity from a lot of people, okay? So a sample set, an incredible sample set will offer you a very powerful and good palette of tools that you'll be able to use to create your own stuff and to rework and manipulate and mangle, okay? My latest sample pack, it's 1.3 gigabytes. It has so many breakbeats that are actually generated randomly. I used this Max device for Ableton Live, and perhaps I'll show you how that works one day, but basically it just draws from a huge pool of breaks, thousands of breaks actually, and then randomly changes pitch and things and sticks them together. So I generate these crazy break beats. Another thing, that's not the meat of the sample pack though. The sample pack is I have recorded and composed and recorded dozens and dozens of bass line loops and synth loops that you can smash together. Now everything's in C minor, everything is 75 BPMs, and I put it in C minor this time so that if you use a sampler, you can play it chromatically into the key that you are actually working in, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna load up 5 breaks, I'm gonna load up 3 bass lines and 3 synth lines, and you're gonna see when I go to the screenshot that I'm grabbing these things at random, and then I'm gonna throw them together and I'm gonna play them, okay? And then I'm going to mangle them, but here is the loops. And if you want this sample set, you want to send me an email with the subject line sample set in to snowmetaluniversity@gmail.com. Okay, so right there you see already that there's a good amount of stuff to work with, but still, you're still working with my own stuff that I wrote and these randomly generated breaks. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pitch them from C minor up to F minor. I'm going to use Ableton's Warp Engine for that. Now, I realize that many of you might not be using Ableton Live, you're using some other DAW, but you know how to accomplish this in your own DAW. But let's do that right now. I'm going to go up to F minor. Okay, so now you hear what that sounds like. The very next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chop these up. Okay, I'm going to chop the synth up, and I'm going to use the first note, and I'm going to use Ableton Sampler. Any other DAW that you might be using, you would use your own sampler, but I'm going to use Ableton Sampler to play the first note, and I'm going to bust out something in F minor, okay? And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drag another one of my synth lines, another one of my synth samples, and I'm going to drag it using audio to MIDI into another, I'm going to use it into another MIDI track with one of Ableton's synthesizers on it, probably Operator, and then I'm going to take the notes and I'm going to move them all up to F minor. So check out how this sounds. Okay, the very last thing that I'm gonna do, well, second to the last thing, is I'm gonna take these glitch drums that I have on here and I'm gonna put them on the timeline, and I'm gonna use stretching, and I'm gonna use duplication, and I'm going to use pitch, and I'm going to change them around and create new loops out of them so you can see how this works. Okay, so the very last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to render out a few loops of my own made with this new material, okay? And I'm going to change the tempo of the track from 75 to, let's say, 110. And then I'm going to put them into their own columns in the clip view, and then I'm going to use follow action, okay, to make the clips, in some of the synths especially, jump around randomly to different pieces. So when you go to your clip launch view, there's a few things you're gonna see me doing, and this is what I want you to do, okay? You wanna change it to legato. You wanna select all the clips that you want to work at once. You want to change it to legato so that as each clip is launched, it picks up in time where the last clip left off, and it doesn't trigger from the beginning of the clip, okay? And then you want to change it to, I'm going to change it to every half bar, and then you want to change the follow action to any, which means that it will trigger any of the clips randomly. You'll see how this works. One second. there you have it. You can create some amazing music using a sample set. You can write some stuff of your own. So if you want this sample set, go ahead and send me an email to snowmetaluniversity@gmail.com with sample set or sample pack in the subject line, okay? And there's gonna be a lot more coming from this channel, so go ahead and subscribe if you love the music and you love our God.